Folks, we hope.
If I push the right one, maybe we can start.
Tuned in, the signal's clear. Coming through Geocache Talk. A voice on the line I hear. Coming through Geocache Talk.
It's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you are at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy this show about the great sport of geocaching. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can be part of the adventure tonight in the chat room and participate with others as they watch the show. If you are listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app so that you can get all of the weekly Geocache Talk goodness.
You know, Jess, if I push the one that says new show opening,
I think you should just keep people guessing. Every once in a while, just start it up with something random or the closing of the show. Just start that at the beginning.
Start with the closing?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe so. All right. Big thanks to the Travel Bugs for our opening and our featured patrons, Holo Yossi, or the Mad Finn, as we like to call him, Simmels123, Chaos in Motion, Cash the Line, The Caching Dead, New York, Nicole, Udak, The Dig Family, JB Opto, GeoVet91, and our new patrons, 1940 Chevy like Chevy Chase? No, 1940 Chevy, Joyful Nomad, Gobi Geocachers, and Crime Fighter 89.
I like that name. That's
I do
pretty
too.
cool.
I like that one. Probably, maybe he's
Maybe a coworker, former coworker.
Oh, wow. Cool.
No, I don't know him. I'm saying from the industry, not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He might be law enforcement. We'll have to ask him.
We'll have to ask him.
Let's hope he's something like that. Maybe he's FBI. I don't know.
Maybe he's a spy. He's a
He
secret
could be.
spy.
Well, he could be, or a superhero. He's a crime fighter. Could be Batman.
Usually they don't give away their name like that, though.
Yeah, well, he didn't put Batman, so maybe Crime Fighter 89.
Maybe he's Batman.
He could be Batman. I mean,
That'd be kind of cool.
I mean, if you're gonna be Batman, be Batman.
That's right. Not a superhero, but we'll get into that another night. So
yeah. If you'd like to become a patron and us make crazy notes about or comments about your
you know what?
name.
Even if you're not a patron, send your name in. We'll make fun of you. It's okay.
It's okay. We don't make fun of them. We're just gonna we have fun with them.
We're usually making fun of Gary's pronunciation of your name.
Exactly. I can hear myself. You're gonna have to turn your volume down a touch, buddy.
I like your voice so much. I turned it all the way up.
Thanks. But I can hear myself, and I don't like hearing myself.
Oh.
Click on the Become a Patron link on the front page of the Geocache Talk website. It's the red heart at the top. Or head on over to patreon.com/Geocache Talk for more details. Patrons get the now famous blackout coin. Did you find yours?
No, it's still in the Jeep, but or this one? No, you can't have this one.
Green one you can't. I do have my green one finally. I did find it, so that's good.
Almost like it's time to have a new one of these.
Oh, something like maybe like this?
Oh, put that away.
Put that away.
That's podcast hope material. What are you doing?
I know. What am I doing? I don't know. You gotta be quick to see that. Other geocaching items during the year, well as bonus content. We got some bonus content coming up.
Yeah, we do.
That we will talk about here in a minute. Invites to special events only for patrons. Support levels start at as little as Bison Tube level, which is $3 a month. And if you're a $10 a month patron, you get a lot of extra perks as well.
Like books and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, lately with books and stuff. So it's been cool.
Anything special, yeah. Lots of special stuff, but we're gonna here's the secret trick, which we can't talk about tonight, but we'll talk about it really soon. We're gonna put all the patrons to work. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
we have a special job for everybody. So
Yeah, we'll talk about that briefly.
it's almost like a volunteer opportunity, but let's keep moving on.
Exactly. Yeah, I can still hear myself. I got to turn you down somehow.
It's your speaker. I think you're having the technical difficulties tonight.
Maybe I turned my volume down, so maybe because that might be the problem. I don't know. All right, I turned myself down more. See if you can turn yourself down a little bit.
I'm way down. I can't even hear anything. I'm just reading your lips at this point.
What? Just kidding. All right, let's jump right into show 225 as we talk about visually.
I had to update the webcam watch.
No, we're getting there. We'll get to the
Okay. All right. I thought you were skipping me here.
Jump right into show 225, like we've never done this before. Show 225, visually impaired geocaching, and let's do some news. Yes, webcams.
I think it's just one of those nights where everything seems like a little bit off. You know it is. No.
Kind sir.
So webcam, we stopped doing our webcam watch for a while just because it was depressing. So every once in a while we're going to update it. And I looked it up tonight right before we started the show. We are down to 96 in the U.S., so well below 100 now.
Right.
235 in the world, and there's currently 7 disabled. So not great. They're starting to dwindle even quicker. Unfortunately, they're going down, and there's no plans to really bring them back anytime soon that we know of. So find them if you can get anywhere close to them for right now.
Yeah, I wonder, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that if they get to a point where, I don't know, Pizza Ninja, if we can, I don't think we're going to be able to save them. I don't think that's.
Want to save them? That's the real question.
Do we want to save them? You don't think so?
Well, no. And they're only fun and they're only cool because they're rare. If they can save them and still keep them rare. Now, they've done a really good job on the virtuals, but if they could save them and keep them rare, like attach them to Geo Tours or make them where they're special, I don't want 8,000 webcam caches showing up in town. I'm not going to. Those are boring. Those are just smileys that are no fun. There's nothing to find. If they are able to keep them alive but keep them rare, like lock them in somehow or something,
I think
that makes them still a fun type. But if they started popping up everywhere, that'd be some other game.
It'd become waymarking.
Yeah, Christy says we don't want to save them.
Yeah, she hates them. I know.
Well, they're rare. There's less than 100 of them in the whole U.S. For us, that's something you get when you go through town, right? You don't miss an opportunity to get one. But if there was 100 of them in town, I wouldn't be getting them.
Right.
Yeah.
Give webcams to mega events. I kind of see that. Just
aren't those things they used to do a long time ago when you actually all showed up at the same place? Like a whole bunch of people would show up at the same place and.
Oh yeah, mega events.
Yeah.
You remember those? They used to do those
back in the day. We had events back in the day.
Yeah. Oldest webcam. That's a good question. I'm not quite sure what the oldest webcam is, Direwolf. We'll have to find that.
Search and find out. It wouldn't be that hard to figure it out, but we have not looked that up before.
Oldest webcam, right, in the world. It'd be interesting. There's one in Antarctica.
Let's not go there again. Okay.
Yeah, they're useful. Albano's right for if you're trying to do a busy day.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, if you can get one of those on a busy day, that's good for that challenge for sure.
Yeah. I was able to Susan and I were able to do that. When we went to Moga 2017, we were able to go to a location where we did a Where I Go, a webcam, and nearby was a multi. We did 10. I think we got 10 that day. 10 that day, which is kind of cool if you get that many. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's quite a few. It's kind of neat.
No, that's a lot of different types in one day, right?
Letterbox, yeah.
Yeah.
Mega, all that stuff. Jinxer's never done one. You live in Colorado. There's there's what 10 or
There's
15?
one. There's one in Colorado.
Okay, there's one. Sorry.
It's in Colorado Springs at the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo.
Right. It's the giraffe cam.
Yep, the giraffe cam.
Can you still get that?
Yeah.
Well,
Assuming it's open.
still it's
The Colorado
open.
Springs Zoo should still be open. So it's a
Okay.
little cold right now, but that's one of the best webcams out there. If they're all like that, I'd like them. You actually get to feed giraffes and stuff, and it's that camera. It's pretty cool.
GC24 CD.
But it's disabled. That's not a good sign.
What a surprise, huh?
Yeah. All right. Enough of the bad news. Let's move on to some better, more fun news.
So let's go with some good news. Couple things I want to remind people. We talked about this last week. The Joy Noel missions. Also, they changed it to what? The Happy Holidays missions.
Yeah, because I think it takes it so long to get all the coins sent back and forth across everybody. It's not necessarily the Christmas mission, and it incorporates people from all over the world. So they're kind of expanding that a little bit,
right,
to include more people than before.
Yeah, you want to go to that forum post. It'll be in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
I put it down below us at the moment. The Happy Holidays mission. You want to go to the forum post and read the instructions, and then from there, you can follow follow the instructions, and you will find out how to be part of the Happy Holidays mission, and you can do some coin trading. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, and if you're into coins and then trading with people, that's a great way to do it, and a fun thing to do right around the holidays. So
yeah, absolutely. So that's perfect. Ryan says he put in for 2. So that's good. Yeah, if you put in for, you can put in for multiple. So if you trade 2, you'll get 2 back. So
yeah, if you're a coin person at all, you have extra unactivated coins sitting around.
Yeah,
you have them. You probably have them still in the original plastic. They may still even be in the bag you brought home from the mega event with like the papers and everything else in it. It may still be in that bag.
Exactly.
I think we should give away a coin too.
Speaking of, very good segue.
Let's give one away.
Let's give one away.
What are you going to give away?
I have a coin here for the winner of last week's contest. Do you remember what the contest was about? Do you remember
Yes. So related to what we were talking about, we asked about a specific article in a specific volume and of FTF magazine.
Yep.
And Gary even kind of flashed the front of it, kind of flashed the article. But this was a harder one. This is one of our harder questions. You can't just Google it. You had to get in touch with somebody or look through your past magazines if you have them to get the answer. And not as many people got this one right.
No, we didn't have too many entries, which is fine. It happens.
I think it's only like 30,000 entries this time or something like that.
Yeah, a lot less.
Had to go to random.org.
We did random.org, and I wanted to do it again just because of who won it. I thought, did I push the right thing in? Maybe I should random.org it again.
So mean.
So I random.org it again. It came up the same. Then I checked it to see if random.org was working, and it was. So we're gonna have to give it to this person. Anyway, so
all right. So who are we gonna give it to?
The winner was Steve Direwolf 821. Whoever that guy is.
That guy just happens to be in the chat room tonight.
So, I'm kidding him. Congratulations, Steve. Yeah. It's kind of cool.
That wasn't easy. That wasn't an easy answer to get.
No, it wasn't. And so for that, you get a really cool coin. This is the Estonia Song and Dance Festival coin. So it's pretty slick. Isn't that cool looking?
That is a pretty cool coin. 3D raised. Yeah.
The back is really cool. So there you go.
That is a pretty cool coin.
I love it. It's kind of neat. It's a different shape, kind of neat, kind of different, kind of cool. So there you go. There's the winner. Way to go, Steve. Oh, you're donating back to me? Oh, thank you. I'll put it back in my coin collection here, Steve. Thank you, sir. That was really nice of you. So, all right. Well, there you go. That's how that works.
So what else is going on? Nothing, right? Nothing for the rest of the year.
Man, we've got a lot going on. A lot going on, buddy.
You should play a commercial for something going on.
Let us play that right now. I got 2 to play for that, but let's play this one. So, Podcast to Hope is going to be December 6th, and that is 2 weeks away. We're just 2 weeks.
Yep, just 2 weeks away from our 8-hour telethon
Podcast.
If it's on Facebook and YouTube and stuff.
Extraordinaire.
Showcase?
Yeah.
No.
Showcase. Extravaganza.
Fundraiser. Let's just call it a fundraiser.
Yeah. Going to raise money for St. Jude. Very excited about that. We want to raise at least $8,000 this year. So, please join us in that. As you saw in our commercial, we've got some great guests this year. Alexandra Boylan will be back.
There's Potathon. I like that one.
Potathon. Thank you, Steve. That's good.
On.
Scott.
Will a schedule be coming out as far as when people will be on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're finalizing that. We have one. We're still trying to get one more guest that we're waiting on, but we have some great guests this year. Really cool. We've got starting with Alexandra Boylan. As you know, we've had her on a few times. We've got gleaned some more stories from her, and excited about having on. Her guests that she had. Dang, why am I still hearing you? I can't turn myself down anymore. We'll have to work on that. Your speakers are coming back through your microphone, I think, but I'll speak lower. Maybe that'll work. I'll speak a little lower. So beyond. In the last movie, Switched. Switch is a great movie. It came out this fall. It's a fun movie to watch. It's fun. It's got a great message. It's an anti-bullying movie. So if you know of schools, they have materials provided that you can get from them to help with that, to really help that cause of stopping bullying. That's the theme of the movie, but they just do a great job of promoting anti-bullying. It's just well done. So Maya's going to be on with us. Trinity is going to be on with us. If people are familiar with her at all, she's also a stunt woman. She's done a lot of movies. I'm looking forward to talking to her about not only her wrestling, which is always kind of interesting to talk to a wrestler. She's done a movie, and she's been like a star in a movie called Jessie, of all things. Have you watched that yet? Oh, I can't hear you at all. You're on mute. Let me unmute you. Oh, you gotta unmute yourself there.
I was just gonna leave myself muted, then I can say whatever I want to.
Yeah. Now your microphone doesn't work at all. I hear you through some other microphone you got. Your local
fun for the night. It's just one of those things. Can you hear me though?
Barely. Your other microphone's not working at all. So
I'll try to keep messing with it.
Check your settings. While you're checking your settings, we also have on Andy McFly, Stano. He has got a lot of trying. Are you better? Are you back?
Test.
Yeah, that's you.
I realize that.
That's you. I can see you and I can hear you.
Can you hear you?
Yeah, well, probably, but I'll be okay. I'll live through it.
All right.
I'm fine. I don't hear it right now, so that's good. Andy will be interesting. He is he owns a DeLorean, but he has decked out that DeLorean like you wouldn't believe. I mean, he has got it perfectly set up for Back to the Future. Gee, I wonder who found him to bring him into this.
No idea. That's another FTF magazine trivia question.
It is. And Joshua was helpful in getting him on. So we're excited about all of our guests. And then Brian's going to be on. Brian is going to announce the big major announcement.
Huge announcement.
Worldwide huge announcement. So we kind of kept it until then. So I think that's cool.
You have done a very good job. We let it leak to some people, but you've done a very good job.
A little bit, but we didn't tell them a whole lot either, though.
No. But anyway, plus the whole network's going to be on. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Play games. You know, Gary said he would stay on as many hours as it takes, even after 8, to get all the money raised.
Yep. Yes, UDAC. Yes, you can get that. I will pull up the link right now.
And it's fundraising.stjude.org/POH 2020 for the audio listeners.
There you go. You can give now, or you can give. We suggest December 6th. If you can't make it December 6th, please give before, because we want to make our goal. But if you give that night, we have a lot of cool prizes. We have like over 40 prizes to give away. So very excited. We've had a lot of cool businesses provide Right in the Rain. I can't list them all, but there's a lot of cool vendors that wanted to be a part of it.
Right.
And so that's really exciting that they're back to just give stuff away as part of, they want to be part of the process of giving and helping us raise that money. So we St. Jude.
The short version of it is we're raising money for St. Jude. It's an 8-hour podcast. It's the biggest. We're going to have a lot of fun shows the rest of this year, of course, but it's the biggest thing we're doing the rest of this year. And the most important thing we do all year long. The other thing is we're announcing the biggest thing we're going to do next year.
Yeah.
On that show on the 6th. So I can't imagine we can top what we're going to announce on the 6th on that show. It's a long year, but we'll get to it.
Right. Jinxer. Yeah, there's a lot for another show that night. So
yeah, you got to pace yourself that night.
Pace yourself for those 8 hours. We have a lot of that. That's for another show.
Yeah, that is for another show.
It is for another show. All right, so let's get into tonight's show. Very interesting. Actually, I did. So, Jesse, I did put the information in there that was provided to us by geocaching.com. It's at the very top.
Yeah. Okay.
So, go ahead and tell us a little bit about what we're talking about tonight.
So, the show tonight is about visually impaired geocaching. Many people may understand why this kind of topic came up when it did. Geocaching.com sent out was it an email or was it a blog post? I don't remember. I got it in email. But anyway, they sent out some information recently about some tips to make your cache pages more inclusive, I guess, to open them up to a broader audience for some people that have visual impairments. A few tips and tricks that you can do, pretty simple things that we do. And as geocachers, obviously, we want anybody that wants to try geocaching to be able to do it to the fullest of their ability. We know that everybody does different stuff. Everybody attacks it from a different way. But if there's some things we can do to help people, enjoy this game, of course, we're going to try to spread that information. So we'll start off with their email in case anybody missed it. I know there's a lot of emails that, we skip a lot of those or we never get to them.
Right.
I think this one was kind of important. They didn't hit you over the head with it. They sent it in with a couple of the, other topics or whatever too. But
right.
I think it's worth taking the time to highlight it.
Yeah, it was interesting. That they're doing that, and it is an interesting topic. I mean, how often have you? I mean, I've never thought about this before.
I have, but I have somebody in my family that's visually impaired.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to bring that up when we talk about it tonight. We hadn't really chatted too much about it, but we're going to talk about some simple things that we can do, and kind of get into a little more complicated things if you're going to go down that path. But it's like we've talked about before. With there's really only one, kind of terrain rating that's important. We've mentioned that before. This is kind of along that same vein, right? You got to consider who's caching, who could be out there caching. We're not, again, we're not telling you how to cache. We're just offering some more information for people that want to consider this.
Yeah, and so tonight, as we discuss this, we'll talk a little bit about what was in the email that geocaching.com sent as far as suggestions. But we also went out and Jesse and I did an interview with a lady named Shell, who goes out with her family and geocaches. And you'll find out more about Shell tonight as we show you some different clips of our conversation with her and talk about how she geocaches as a visually impaired geocacher. I found that fascinating to talk to her. So let me know, Jess, you want to start with the first one and we'll go from there?
Well, let's go through
a
little bit of what HQ sent out. I think it's worth touching on.
That sounds
good. And then we can kind of get into those the interview snippets. And there was so much information. When we talked to Shell, we kind of broke it up into smaller parts because we wanted to kind of unpack it and kind of add some more in there with it. We didn't want to slow her down, but we did want to add the information. So starting off, HQ said they are continuously working towards a more inclusive and accessible experience for all players, kind of like what we were just saying. Today, we want to ask for your help to make cache pages more accessible. That seems great, right? So kind of looking into that, unpacking that a little bit of what they're saying. They're talking about images on cache pages, and we're talking about specifically for visually impaired cachers, right?
Right.
So they offered this, and this is kind of one of those things that they gave great information. And it's like anything else HQ sends out, right? It's going to hit home for some people, and then some people are going to go, what are we talking about?
That's
because
true.
There's people that have read that newsletter that have found 3 caches in their little hometown, and there's people that have found 150,000 of them or whatever, right? Or people are over 200,000 now, right? So, and this one has to do kind of with HTML text. Some people are like, yeah, duh. And then other people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. We've done a little bit of that on this show before. We've talked about how to add HTML and do some other things. We've never actually mentioned this before on any of our programs, though.
No.
Never even really thought about it much either.
No, we haven't talked about or no, we really haven't addressed it. We kind of addressed it, the terrain one when we had on, our R&M cachers because, he's in a wheelchair. And so that was interesting to talk to him because, to find out about what's a true T1 for him.
So Roomba Cats is getting ahead of us. Shh, slow down.
Yeah.
So, and that would be much more advanced, right? We're going to talk about the simple stuff first, and we're going to move more to the advanced. And Gary's showing this now. One of the things they said was, if you have images on your cache page, your geocaching profile, or any trackable pages, which hopefully you do, because you're going to spruce them all up. If not, go back a few shows and you'll know why.
Yep.
Please consider adding alternative text to describe your image. This will help visually impaired players who rely on screen readers. I guarantee you many people have never thought about that before.
No, I guarantee you
if you're not aware of what a screen reader is, some people that have trouble reading for many different reasons, color blindness, partial color blindness, partial visual impairment. And I think Shell does a good job at talking about this later. I don't know if we brought the clip into this part or not, but when you hear the term blind or visual impairment, it's not an all or nothing thing.
Yeah.
So keep in mind that they may be able to see some of it, but not all of it, some contrast, some stuff like that.
Correct.
So they just may need some additional assistance or larger text or something else to do it. Well, one of the things that they do is they have a screen reader. A screen reader is like everybody has on their laptop. You can have it read the text on a document or on a cache page or a web page. It's not perfect by any means, but it definitely can assist somebody. So kind of when you're typing up your cache page, maybe think about how would this read off? Again, you don't have to do any of this, right? But we're just thinking of some suggestions for people that want to include people with it.
No, that's good.
Do you want to kind of go over what they said for how you would do this?
Yeah. I have the information here, and we'll talk about it, but you can add alternate text within your user-friendly editor, whatever you're using. Right-click on the image, select the image properties, add your image description in the field, alternative text, select OK and save. So I think it's pretty simple.
So super simple, and it doesn't hurt your page. It doesn't mess up your puzzle. It doesn't do anything to the page other than if the picture is not there for a reader, it reads them the alternative text.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's very important. I was proud of UDEX. I learned about alternative text at work because we're designing the website. So more work, but worth it. Yeah, you're exactly right, UDEC. It's worth it, especially like you said, people are reading those. And so that's, well, not reading them, they're, they're needing the text to help them, especially if they can see some. Tom mentions, he says, my totally blind kid can see light.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know about colors, but just the light is useful.
Yeah. So if you're going to use HTML code, like some people program with what do they call that editor? I can't remember. The friendly editor. It's something.
WYSIWYG.
Yeah, WYSIWYG.
What you get.
I don't use that one very often. I use HTML because that's what I prefer, just because that's what I've been using for years. If you're going to do that and you're adding an image, it's the image tag like you always do. And it's just alt equals, and then all your information is inside the quotes. Yeah. So it's, picture of key or something like that. If it's a nonsensical picture that doesn't matter, it's just decoration, you can just tell them what it is. If it's something that has some information that matters, put it in there so they still get the feel of what that page is, right?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, they mentioned that was in the email, like you said, is that if you're just doing an HTML, then it's like you said, the syntax for HTML is on the image tag, add the alternate attribute. Syntax is, and it's there on the screen. The image alt equals text. If the image is only for decoration, use alt equals and then use double quotes. So the screen readers skip that. Mm-hmm. Skip that image. So,
and like Jinxer said, that could be hard with codes.
Yeah.
So this is not going to work for everything. And Gary and I were talking about this when it came out, and it immediately made us think, what about our cache pages? What about our Trackle pages, our profile? But also, we have a website, right? This is where we gather all this information. It's where you go to get the notes. And there's a lot of things that we can change to make it, inclusive of a lot more people on there as well. So, we're not saying don't do a puzzle, right? A lot of people do puzzles and they hide in their images and they do other things on the page. Still do that. Not every cache can work for everybody.
Right.
But if you have a cache, and it's not going to hurt the spirit of the cache to add these little small things in, that's one step that's not much to do.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about more stuff later, but this one step is not that much to do. And I'm definitely going to go back and look at mine and see if I can add these in, because there's no reason not to. I did find a couple, and like Jinxer mentioned with the codes, that is going to be a little more difficult, right? I have one that's a puzzle and it's all within the picture. I have no idea how to make an alternative for that one.
Right. Yes, very good.
So
You want to, at this point, you want to,
yeah, so much information in Shell's interview. We, like Gary said, we broke it up into 4 little parts that we can kind of slow down and unpack. But I think it's time to get started with it.
all right, let's watch part 1 of the interview with Shell.
So I'm guessing you started geocaching before this March or April, right?
We started
2017.
2017. I was
Okay.
looking for free things to do with the kids,
Mm-hmm.
crap that we hadn't, because we always go to like the museums, and not that that's a bad thing, but that's what we always did. We always went to museums,
Right.
and zoos, and we have memberships at dozens of museums. And I was looking for something different to do. And my husband, I drive him nuts because at that point I could still see, and I like to do the drive down the road and see a green sign. You got to stop and read what the green sign says.
Right.
And if there's a sign on the road that says, someone died here, or, the biggest ball of yarn, I was like, oh, we got to stop.
Let's check it out.
So when we
That's
ran
great.
into geocaching, when I found the free site, I was like, hey, let's try this. And he thought I was nuts. He's like, that's like looking for the big ball of yarn. I'm like, yeah, I know, it'd be awesome. So I suckered him into it for the weekend, and he thought I was crazy because he thinks I'm insane anyway.
Right.
So we went on the big hunt for the big ball of yarn, just figuratively.
Right.
And we went through like 6, 7 of them, couldn't figure it out. And then we hit one that had a merry-go-round, one of those circly things that they spin on.
Oh yeah.
And all 4 of the kids went nuts and they jumped on that. And I was like, well, they're playing, let's keep searching.
Yeah.
And we searched and searched, probably spent 30 minutes to an hour there.
Mm-hmm.
And then he finally found it. I had no clue because I was more excited with finding green signs. But he ended up finding it, and then we just kind of got hooked from that point.
Very cool.
And it kind of merges both of our interests. I like the big stupid balls of yarn, and he likes to go on treasure hunts.
So, little background. I wanted to
Mhm.
use that part of the clip to begin with because she was a geocacher prior to her losing her sight.
And she does tell us about that. We talked to her for quite a while for the interview. If we played the whole interview and the comments that we wanted to make, we'd be here for a few hours. So what we did is we cut out a few things of this, and we are going to release the full interview. The patrons are going to get that. It's going to be on YouTube. We're going to send that out to them. But she gets into some really, it's pretty personal. Well, it's very big. You can't get more personal than what happened to her, right?
Yeah.
So she talks about that, the accident, what happened, and things like that. And yeah, she was. So kind of set the stage. She was a cacher, and then she had some physical impairment. So she, they found that first cache, and then some other things happened. Some health things happened. But we kind of wanted to zone in on the part that's happened recently and how her and her family are still able to cache as a family activity with a visual impairment.
Right.
So
yeah, she got into discussing. She's basically is 85% blind at this point. One of her eyes she can't really see out of very well, and her other eye she sees partial, and she can see it out of her periphery. So anyway, so just give you I wanted to use that clip just because we give you a background, and she was familiar with geocaching prior.
But I think the background is important in this situation because, again, a lot of people that don't have anybody with an impairment in their family, they think, well, people with impairments are not caching. Well, they are. And they're not always caching alone, but they want to do as much as they can by themselves, like everybody does, right?
Yep.
So she tells us, and I don't know if it's coming up in more clips, but how they kind of do it together, but they do it as a family together. And Shell, if you get to watch the full interview, you'll see, but Shell is not one that's going to let anybody stand in her way.
No.
She's going to go do it. She says she was stubborn. I love it. But we have to kind of think about that. We may want to open things up because she's lucky enough that she has a whole family. They still do it as a family activity, but some people don't have that kind of support system. So as much as we can make open to them, I get it. And there's some caches that aren't going to work, right? I'm not going to go get a scuba cache. Shell's not going to be able to get all caches either.
Yeah.
But the more we can open to the more people, the more fun we can provide.
All right, ready for part 2?
Yeah.
Here's part 2.
I think me and Shell are more alike in the stubbornness. You say inspirational. I believe stubbornness is what is the key to life.
Yeah, you are stubborn. I know that because
I don't like being told I can't do something.
right.
That's right.
Jesse.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
Jesse, that's one of Jesse's like, because we were talking about before we started the interview is that you prefer, like you said, to go. You don't want to find the LPC. You want to find something out, where you gotta do some work for it. And Jesse's the kind, he doesn't want to necessarily find 5 LPCs. He'd rather go up in the mountains and find just one cache.
It's the effort that makes things fun in life, right?
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So I think a good idea would be, since you do have the perspective on it, maybe we can talk about, because I think many people haven't thought about it because they just haven't been in the position. They haven't talked to anybody. They haven't thought about it from your perspective. But how can caching be more inclusive? And I know you can't speak for everybody, right? We're not asking you to speak for everybody, but just from your perspective, like you said, you still want to go do fun stuff. So what would make it better? How do we make it better?
Okay, I can kind of explain it from my point of view. I'm fine with it the way it is. But that's because what I can't see, I see through my husband and my kids' eyes.
Right.
My son will take my phone and he'll videotape it because if I can get it close enough to my face, I can see it.
Right.
They take pictures for me. So because I can't see about 2.5 foot in front of my face.
So there you go. So that's they give you an idea more of what she's going through.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that speaks to the differences, right? So she has a certain level of visual impairment. Other people have many different levels, right? So some people can't see anything. Some people can see about half and half. Some people based on contrast. She's able to, if she really slows down and looks at it, she can see it if it's right in front of her face.
Yeah.
But there's a limit to that too, right? And she does mention later that she uses a reader a lot of times, but also she'll have her family read it to her.
Yeah.
But she wants to do as much as she can herself.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now, she also doesn't want to admit it. She wants to do everything. But we're talking about people that don't have the same support system, and she's very grateful for her support system too. But it does kind of touch on, it gives you an idea. It's not an all or nothing thing. And I think that's one of the most important things she wanted to get across too is, you do a little bit to improve and you can help a lot of people.
Yeah. She, to me, she is very inspirational because she is not going to give up. She wants to keep going. So she'll have them take pictures or even take a video of something. And then they'll hand her back her phone and she can kind of hold the phone sort of little off center from her eyes, and she can see that, and her periphery vision's a little bit still there in one eye, so she can still read a little bit. She can still see things. So,
I think that's a good point too. I think a lot of people when they, you've hidden a bunch of caches, I've hidden a bunch of caches. A lot of the people in the chat room have hidden a bunch.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we get that crazy idea, and that crazy idea doesn't get out of our head until we hide that cache. And, we think it's great and we fire straight forward. But, maybe this will remind us, take time to slow down a little bit and think, not only can I make this really fun, but how can I make this a little more inclusive to other people as well, right? How can I make this a little more accessible to people? And I'm not saying mess up your puzzle. Do your puzzle, make it as hard as you want it to be.
Yeah.
Visual impairment does not equal bad at puzzles.
Right.
That's not the same thing, right? I mean, impairments of any kind don't mean bad at puzzles. Still make your awesome puzzles, but just think how you can include more people in it.
Absolutely. Yes. All right. Here we go. Part 3.
So would it be helpful then, I guess, maybe one of the helpful tips might be if you're going to mark the terrain and mark the terrain right, which is a whole nother thing, right? People should mark them accurately, obviously.
Right.
But maybe one possibility is given a little better, maybe not everybody wants to read it. That's okay. But maybe given a little better description of what the terrain, what you're really going to be facing when you get out there.
Yeah. That would be nice. Like lots of stumps. So, you can kind of, because when you carry a stick, you don't hit, if you have a stump on one side and you're only going on one side, the other side, you're not feeling
Right.
so you trip a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Letting you know if there's areas that are kind of washed out, or, I know they won't always know because things change, but they'll have a good idea of, be careful. There's areas that are washed out, or they're working on this, or at
Right.
that point.
Absolutely. Well, just because you can park 0.5 miles from the cache in the parking lot doesn't mean that the trail is going to be 0.5 miles, right? It could be 3 miles or more.
Exactly.
You need to bring water, maybe middle of the summer. It could be
Snacks for the kids.
snacks, yeah. Let the kids know what they're getting into, right? Because sometimes they get impatient. We all have kids. We know, all of us that have kids know exactly how that's like.
Right.
Okay, so distance, the terrain, what the terrain's really like. What else would be helpful features that these seem obvious, but not everybody thinks about that when they're putting a cache page together, right?
If they have low-hanging trees, because if they know they're doing trails and there's low-hanging trees, just kind of put a note on there, lots of low-hanging trees, because it really hurts to have those suckers hit you right in the nose.
Yeah, that is bad.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point too, because people think of terrain, they think of what's under their feet. They don't think about what's up, right? So that would be good to any obstacles really that could get in the way of that trail would be important to put on there.
And it's not that, we'll get people who are visually impaired won't not do it. It's like, I'll still do it regardless, but it would be nice to know, okay, I need to kind of watch my head. Because my husband will forget to tell me, watch out. Or my son will hold the branch and realize he got sidetracked and let go of the branch and hit me in the head.
Right.
But it's kind of nice to know that, expect low-hanging trees.
Exactly. No, that is good.
This was a good one. So we got to have a good conversation about a few caches they went out for, and Shell told us about a few things that she emphasized how she probably we connected on this one because how she probably should have been smarter about what she went after, but she went after it anyway. She just went and did it anyway. I was like, yeah, that sounds familiar. We all have those days, right? We're like, I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. But she talked about terrain, which we've all talked about before. Terrain's important. And like she said, just because they're visually impaired does not mean they're still not going to go for something that's not a one terrain. That's their choice, right? But think of terrain more than just, she used the term obstacles, which is great. I've never even thought of it that way before. We always just think about how steep is it? Yeah. How long is it to get there? We didn't think about other things like stumps and low-hanging tree branches and other things like that I just never thought about that before, right? Like vines and bushes, things that are going to trip people, especially if they have any kind of visual impairment. You're not going to, it may be flat ground, but
right.
Those bushes you go through that are going to trip you no matter what. It's not a bad thing to warn people about that, right?
No, absolutely. I was thinking about that there's a couple of my caches I know that I need to go back and add more detail on because I could easily put in better information because we all could do that. We could all either revisit some of our caches or just think in our mind what it would take to walk to a cache of ours, because there's things that really are important because I'm thinking of one that I have in town here. I could easily put on there that you can walk the park path for most of it, but at the end of it, you're going to have to get off the path to walk over near this pond, and I could easily put in there. You're going up a small hill. There are no stumps. There's no. I could easily put in there. When you get near the cache, you might have some branches, so you need to be careful. Very simple thing I can put in there for visually impaired. And all of us could do that. We could all sort of step back and go, what would it take to get to this cache? Maybe it really is a kind of a landmine situation trying to get to it. It could be rocks everywhere.
Yeah, and I like what Shell says in the full, extended interview. She's the first one to go, I'm not saying make it easy. Don't give it away.
Right.
But you can give information about the area without giving away where the cache is, right?
Right.
Because a lot of times, sometimes it's just a marked traditional and you know exactly where it's going to be. Sometimes it's a puzzle. Sometimes it's other things. But, I like that she said, don't give away the farm.
Yeah.
Just say, you're going to go from a paved path to, it may only be a 6-inch little stream that you go through, but that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. Feet get wet, bushes, stuff like that. That's good information to give. And that's not giving anything away. You can see that from Google Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not,
Yeah.
You're not having to give a description that's like, it's on the 3rd branch east of the, come on.
You don't do that.
I'm not doing that, but we can spend a little time giving a description, be a little more, we know half people don't read descriptions anyway, but the people that want to, let's put some good information in there for them, right?
Yeah, no, that is perfect. Rubicast mentioned something interesting. Is might there ever be a visually impaired friendly geocache attribute?
So there may be, you know what, and it may not have to be an official thing, right?
Yeah.
We talked about, and I think we're going to try to touch on it a little bit more, but if you decide that you're going to go back to some of your caches and add some things, you can add a section and say, for the visually impaired, here's some information.
Yeah.
Right. Or for people with, however you're going to change and kind of open to it, people that need more information, read below. If you don't, it's a spoiler, so don't read it. You can easily add that on your cache page anytime.
Well, there's the Motley Caching Crew Light, as we called ourselves this weekend. We went out. There's only 2 of the 6 of us got to go this weekend, but we we did the interview, so it was clear in my mind. It was much clearer in my mind. But we went and found this cache, and it was labeled a T1. It was not a T1. I mean,
right.
I didn't contact the cache owner, but I did put in my comments that this was not a T1. So if you're in a wheelchair, you're not going to be able to, unless you got one of those all-terrain vehicle type wheelchairs, you're not going to be able to. It was at a height. A lot of times people forget about when you're handicapped or when you're wheelchair. When you want to make it wheelchair accessible, because there's a lot of handicaps. So I want to make sure I'm specific. Right. Wheelchair accessible caches. It was at that level. That's one thing that the R&M cachers would say to us, is the fact that people don't think about the fact that they just assume too much that, oh, well, it's at this level, they should be able to, a person who's in a wheelchair, it's not necessarily accessible to them. You have to really think through it. So, that is something that we all need to remember when we're trying to mark a terrain for a cache. So,
and let's be honest about it. Most of the caches that are out there, including my caches, I'm not talking about just it's not one of those just other people's caches things.
Yeah.
Most of your caches are not like super tricky hides. There's absolutely large. There's a pretty good percentage of them, but like the gum thing on the gum wall that used to be there, that's just hard to find, right? That's a tricky thing. The one lock that's on the whole chain link fence, those are hard to find or whatever, right? On the wall of locks, those kind of things. But a lot of the caches are out there. It's just getting to the point, and when you get there, the cache find is not super duper hard.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that, on those instances, it's not a terrible thing to go, this cache is probably between 3 and 5 feet high from the ground. Right. If you're not giving anything away because it's a bush or a tree or whatever else, why not give that kind of information?
Sure.
That's helpful. Now, a lot of people won't look at it. We've talked about this before. I don't read anything until I can't find the cache. And then I read everything else, right? I just read the name and the coordinates, and then I go from there.
There you go.
If I can't find it, then I go through my whole list of everything. And now if I really can't find it, then I start calling everybody in the world. But on a cache, it's a standard cache, where the hide itself was not the super tricky part of it. It was, just location or whatever else.
Sure.
Why not give a little extra information? I'm not saying give away the farm, and you can put it in the hint, and you can put it encoded or whatever else if you want to. But if it's one of those things where that doesn't deter from or diminish the experience, go ahead and, give that information out there. Put it in the description. And I don't think it's a bad plan.
Yep. All right. We have one more part to the interview. So here we go.
Anything else that just jumps out at you? Is there anything that you've seen that would make it? Description is good. Terrain, that's some really good information.
Yeah, that's good.
Anything else? I know we talked about, possibly one day there'll be an audio addition to it and something that people can figure out, where it can read it and, the clues or the puzzle or whatever could have a second option for audio. There's not a real good way to do that now, but yeah. Go ahead.
Sometimes maybe like if it's close to the road or whatnot, and there's trees, you could say, count the trees. That would help because, you can't follow the coordinates and whatnot like other people can.
Right.
So, you could say you can count the trees or, it's a sixth rock or, just kind of like an extra little weird hint that most people wouldn't catch on to because it's like going up and down steps. I don't pay attention to the steps anymore. I just know how many steps it is to get to the bottom of the stairs. So, you kind of learn to count things, which you're not supposed to, but it works.
Still works, right?
You still just kind of learn to do it. For someone, it's like my vision. I have peripheral. I don't have straightforward.
Right.
So for me, it would be, okay, well, there's 8 big trees. Oh, well, okay, I can start watching for 8 big trees. And you can give, a general area, but it would make a little easier for someone who's got even just a little bit a little bit of vision to be able to go, oh, there's 8 big trees. So I can start watching out for that since I can't follow the coordinates so well because it's not big enough on the phone.
Right. Well, thanks again. Is your husband willing to pop into the screen real quick and just say hi? There he is.
There he is.
Hey, thank you so much for everything. And keep getting her out there, Of course, you can't stop her because she's going to do it anyway.
I'm stubborn.
No, she's pretty good about going, hey, we gotta go do this geocache this weekend. I seen this on Facebook, and a lot of times it's because of the information that's posted that we'll go drive out of our way to go do a geocache because that looks really cool. Let's go do that one.
Yeah, so you and I are not huge social media fans.
We're not, but it is useful, right? Especially in this game, it's pretty useful.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is I didn't ever think about this, but she's looking at Facebook and she's reading. She's a big history buff, by the way. We kind of left that part out a little bit, but it's interesting that she mentioned that she's looking at what people are saying about caches, and then she's learning. She's saying, "Oh, that cache is." She lives up in Michigan, in case you're wondering. And I can always give people more information as far as in a more general sense where she lives, in case you want to put a cache out, and have her go help, for her to find it. But
so we touched on a couple things in there, and I want to get to some comments real quick too, because I expect nothing less than what I'm seeing in the comments now. So, like Roomba Cat said, I'm very intrigued about making a gadget cache series where the visually impaired have the advantage.
I love that.
Why not?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And that's the exact thing I expect from this group of people, because geocachers and they're always wanting to improve the game and they're always wanting to be, make it as fun as they can for everybody. And of course, that's the first thing they think, right? That there's some people out there that are like, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
Well, that's sad, but that's not the kind of group that we have here. We have, oh, this is cool. I can make more quality caches now because there's more, there's new ideas there.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. That's what we wanted to hear. Right. So Hugh said the same thing. That'd be really a great idea with the gadget caches and put some easy ones. We can duplicate them in different parts of the country.
Yeah. I like that.
That's exactly what we were hoping to hear when we put this together, that people want to get together and create awesome caches for people that may not have been able to get into some of them. Yeah. Right. Perfect. And then, so this leads into some more information too. Has Shell found a cache that she really liked and what made it better? So she talks about this a little bit more, but one of the things, the clips we didn't play tonight was the description. So she's a history buff, right? And she says like they'll go to places that are historical, and it's really neat to read all about the information. They love it. She said, but sometimes people will do that and forget to tell you why you're there. They'll take you to a really great place and forget to tell you what's significant about it. Then you've gone before you even realize it's something. So that was the big thing. She talked about a couple history ones, and she was like, there's no way I would have ever found it. And one of the favorite ones she actually mentioned was one that they went to a graveyard, and they didn't even find the cache, but they decided to go ahead and clean up anyway because it's this historical graveyard. So we kind of forget those things, right? Sometimes, but so since people are talking about it, we talked about this a little bit. And we want to talk about basic things, description, terrain, make sure those things are correct. Add the alt images, but some more advanced stuff that we talked about was potentially adding an audio component to your caches.
Oh, absolutely.
Why not? Now, we don't have the answer to how to do that other than maybe recording a YouTube with some audio and put a link to it on the page. I don't know. What do you think ways we can advance this in the future? It's a hard one, right? Because we need the creativity of this group of people. And, Where I Go has a section where you can do audio.
I like audio.
I always advocate for Where I Go, but that's just me, right?
Yeah.
They're clunky. They're hard to use, but they do take audio.
Yes.
So do lab caches. So if you have a lab cache set, you could make the whole thing audio.
Yeah. We talked about a couple weeks ago on Puzzle Talk, we did talk about audio caches.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun to talk about. We've talked about those before where you call a number and you get the information. And so, I mean, in many ways, so Jigsawer's right. You can easy to add an audio link.
So I want to hear more about this because I don't really know how you would add an audio link. The first thing that comes to my mind is YouTube, but I guess you could do a recording and do like a Google Drive because they really don't want you downloading things, right? That's part of the rules.
Right.
I think Google is okay, and you can do a link to a Google Drive audio recording or something, right?
Yeah, and let me. I'll pull up the show notes for that. The one that we talked about. We can bring up a quick cache. For the visually for some of that are visually impaired, I think that these caches would be great. We could even I don't know if there's a way to go ahead.
Maybe a contest for accessible caches could be a cool idea. The winner can get a sweet coin. I would absolutely be willing to spearhead that contest. So we could do that here. We'll have to think about how we could do that. But maybe everybody that's listening to this, we set a certain amount of time and you publish a cache that's accessible new after the thing starts. And at the end of it, we put them, maybe there's 20, 25 entries or whatever. And we let people vote on which the best one and most accessible in those different areas. And there's a prize for the winner or a couple of prizes.
Right.
That would be awesome if we could start people thinking down that route. Not only are you making your caches more creative and put more effort into it, but you're making them more creative and accessible to more people. That's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
I love that.
Love it. I'm going to bring up, I'm looking at.
And yes, even Direwolf can enter. He said he's enter and win.
He won. I think he has to wait a decade, right? Before he can win again. Is that
a decade? Yeah. No, this contest, everybody's eligible because it does a good thing. So Roomba Cats challenge accepted. I love that. I would love that idea. As a matter of fact, send in ideas. We'll share them with everybody. So keep it on equal footing, right? How can we add audio to these cache pages?
Yeah.
How can we do that and make it accessible to everybody? Or there's other accessibility issues that we need to address too, right? But why don't we do that? Let's make sure this game is open for everybody that wants to play it.
So the one page I brought up about audio, it just takes you it's a link, just sends you to another location. So to play, let me find another one.
So we can, and I'm sure there's some people that have some awesome caches that are even in the chat room tonight. We're going to be listening to this on audio later, but let's share those ideas. Let's get them in. Let's share them. We'll do a follow up. We'll put some more information on here, but what's some good tips and tricks we can do to make our caches accessible? And I'm not saying give it away. Shell was the first person to say, don't make it easier. That ruins the fun.
Right.
Just give more information.
Yes. Yeah. She was very, very specific about that, that was the point, was that she doesn't want you to just hand it to her on a silver platter. She wants you, though, to at least give her the tools to allow her to find a cache.
Mm-hmm. Roomba Cats brought this up. We talked about this in the full extended interview, but there are so many keychain style voice recorders. This would be a great feature to include a CO narrated description of the cache.
Yep.
And absolutely. So a reader is great. A screen reader is great, but it's not the original intention, and they're not going to get things right if you use slang or any of our geocaching terms.
Yep.
And it always adds a little bit something extra if the cache owner, the person who's really passionate about that cache,
Right.
is the one who reads it. They're going to put the hints in where they need to be, and it's not going to take you that much longer to do it. I'm gonna start looking back at some of mine and see which ones I can do.
Yeah.
But it's not going to give anything away. You're just reading the same information, right? But you're reading it in a way that
Absolutely.
you want it to be out there.
Right. It's perfect. Yeah.
I like it, and I'd love to see, because we get to talk to a lot of people, we get to hear a lot of ideas, but the people that listen to this show and watch this show are way more creative than us.
Sure.
They've done some things that that are amazing. So I'm really excited to see what could happen from people just to start thinking about this topic, right? Like, where can we go with it?
I do like that. Maybe an attribute would be kind of cool because again, geocaching.com. We could ask this to Brian during Podcast to Hope. Even I'll put it in the notes that they're open to ideas like that. So they've added those recently. They added all those new.
Sure did.
The dangerous staircase.
Yeah, that's right.
With the who knows what's at the top of the dangerous staircase.
It's the unknown. The unknown at the top.
Right. The let's add a question mark to everything attribute. The 3 caches along a trail is a requirement. No, wait, that's Power Trail. Never mind.
Yeah.
And then they stole our puzzle talk.
That's right.
Alternate.
But you know what? I bet the best way to get a true attribute for something like this would be to have a lot of caches that it applies to.
Right.
Right. They're not going to do it. They're not going to make an attribute hoping somebody's going to use it. We start doing it. We start making our caches accessible.
Yeah.
There was a service for a while, handycaching.com. They
they're not around anymore, are they?
Terrains. We've reached out to them. So if anybody knows anybody from that organization, tell them to contact us. We'd love to work with them and see if they're still going to be active and still going to do it. I think that's a great service. They really go through and have people rate whether that one terrain is truly a one terrain.
Yeah. Here's their page, by the way. The page is still active. I'll share this screen.
Well, people are still active on the page, but I don't know if the page is still active. It may be, and I hope it is.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, there's, like you said, it's you can find a rating, you can decode, you can look at what other people have rated. You can take a look at a cache and go, okay, well, here's what they rated at. That gives you a better idea of maybe is it truly a T1 or that kind of thing. So.
And that's what they're looking at on this one is T1. They're specifically concerned with T1, right? And they have a whole rating for how you would rate it. Have some information to go through. I think people are still rating on there, but I don't know if the owners are still doing much with the site. I hope they are. And if anybody out here is connected to that, tell them to get in touch with us. We'd love to spread information about their website and the efforts they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, something like this, because it's more than just the terrain. There's other things that can impair somebody from being able to access a cache, right? So we'd love to get as much information and knowledge out there as we can, because we all want everybody to find our caches, right? That's what we want.
Yes.
Well, Some of us don't. Some of us don't want anybody to find our caches, but for those ones where you do want it found, you want to do that. So I think it's a great start. I think we have a great group of people that can probably help us champion this cause. And why wouldn't we make our caches better for more people?
Yes, absolutely. There's some other information you'll find in the show notes when you look at this later on, but We did leave in some for other information, some other articles that talk about making sure that you use contrast, be mindful of the colors that you
Mhm.
put on a web page, because again, some people are looking at it and they're trying to may not have perfect vision.
Right. There's actually a bunch of notes in this show notes.
Yep.
We weren't going to read you all those. A lot of it's about coding and text and colors and everything else. We really wanted to get across the intent of the idea and what Shell told us, which is don't water them down, make them better.
Yep, absolutely.
You know, and she's not demanding that, and she never would. You know, but there's a lot of people out there that may or may not have a good support system that still want to be in the game. And if I can do a little bit of something to make it more fun for more people, I'm going to try to look into seeing what we can do.
Right. Perfect. Well, I think we're ready to wrap up for tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, keeping we respected everybody's holiday time and kept it a little short this time. It's hard for us to do, and that's why we narrowed this down so much, because we could have talked for 3 hours on this topic for sure.
Yeah, we wanted to get to the pertinent info, and Shell was great. We'll send her another note after tonight, thanking her. We might even to try to get her some more information to help, and then maybe follow up later and see what she thought. Kind of do some feedback back and forth and see. Again, she's up in the. I think she's near Jackson, Michigan. So if you live up in that area, and you'd be interested in helping, maybe put a cash out, and we can provide her more information. In case you're wondering, that is west of Ann Arbor, west of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
It's due south of Lansing, Michigan. So if you have caches in that area you think would be great for her to find, maybe that would be a perfect thing for her to, give us the information. We'll definitely pass it on to her and her husband and her family. So
absolutely. And if anything in this inspired you to have a great creative idea, or you're going to put out some caches along this vein, please let us know. We'd love to highlight them. We'll show people, we'll send them people that way. We want to highlight the good work that people are doing. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Please let us know if you do it. Please do it, but also please let us know.
Yep. Thanks, Roomba Cats. Keep in touch, Roomba Cats. Let us know if you do. Roomba Cats makes some great caches, and so I think it'd be interesting to find out more from him as what's in his brain, because I'm sure he's thinking right now, making notes.
Oh, you know it, yeah. And share this with other people. The best thing is when you come out with an idea that's really cool, and they just start popping up in other places too.
Yeah. Invite her out caching with you. What's this whole problem we've got currently is going to go away soon.
Gosh, maybe it will. Fingers crossed.
Let's hope. And smash that like button. I like that's the
absolutely.
From our Aussies, who they always say smash it. Smash the like button for us. We appreciate that. And we'll give you more information about different things. We have more fuel for obsession. There you go.
Yeah, we all need that, don't we?
Yeah. Thanks, Direwolf. We appreciate that. And more coming up. We've got some more shows, obviously. He likes it when Gary's on the left, Jesse on the right. Well, we can fix that real quick. Let me just do this real quick. And there we go. Is that better? Make you feel better?
We got it super fancy now.
Tweaking around.
So lots of big stuff coming up. And everybody, enjoy your holidays. Keep checking back in and get yourself ready for Podcast to Hope.
Get ready for Podcast to Hope. Have a great week. Enjoy Thanksgiving if you can. Get out. Get some time away. Maybe Friday instead of Black Friday. But go buy a bunch of stuff. Don't do that. Get out and provide for others. Mm-hmm. Maybe find a cache or two.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
There we go. All right. Let me hit the correct button here. It's always a trick, isn't it? So here we go. It's all moved around a little bit.
It's one of those nights. It really is.
It is one of those nights. The opening. Where's the new show closing? There it is. I found it. All right, here we go.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Please email us your comment at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.
Happy Thanksgiving to all the U.S. folk, and happy Sunday to everybody else. And we'll see everybody next Sunday. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.